Today, let us talk about variables in quantitative research. In research, it is important for us to understand variables and the types that are used in forming theories. A variable refers to a characteristic or attitude of an individual or an organization that can be measured or observed and that varies among the people or organization being studied. Variable is called by psychologists as construct, which connotes a rather more abstract idea than a specifically defined term. However, social scientists typically use the term variable, and it will be employed in this discussion. Variables often measured in studies include gender, age, socioeconomic status, and attitudes or behaviors. Variables are distinguished by two characteristics, namely, temporal order and their measurement. Temporal order means that one variable precedes another in time. Because of this time ordering, it is said that one variable affects or causes another variable, though a more accurate statement would be that one variable probably causes another. Temporal order means that quantitative researchers think about variables in an order from left to right and order the variables in purpose statements, research questions, and visual models into left to right, cause and effect type presentations. These are the temporal order variables. We have independent, dependent, intervening or mediating, moderating, control, and confounding variables. Independent variables are those that, probably, cause, influence, or affect outcomes. They are also called treatment, manipulated, antecedent, or predictor variables. Dependent variables are those that depend on the independent variables. They are the outcomes or results of the influence of the independent variables. Other names for dependent variables are criterion, outcome, effect, and response variables. Intervening or mediating variables stand between the independent and dependent variables, and they mediate the effects of the independent variable on the dependent variable. For example, if students do well on a research methods test, which is the dependent variable, results may be due to their study preparation, an independent variable, and/or their organization of study ideas into a framework, an intervening variable that influenced their performance on the test. The mediating variable, the organization of study, stands between the independent and dependent variables in the probable causal link. Moderating variables are independent variables that affect the direction and/or the strength of the relationship between independent and dependent variables. These moderating variables are new variables constructed by a researcher by taking one variable and multiplying it by another to determine the joint impact of both on the dependent variable, example age x attitudes toward quality of life impacting self-esteem. These variables are typically found in experiments. Control variables play an active role in quantitative studies. These are a special type of independent variable that researchers measure because they potentially influence the dependent variable. Researchers use statistical procedures, example analysis of covariance, and COVA, to control for these variables. They may be demographic or personal variables, example age or gender, that need to be controlled so that the true influence of the independent variable on the dependent can be determined. Another type of variable, a confounding or spurious variable, is not actually measured or observed in a study. It exists, but its influence cannot be directly detected. Researchers comment on the influence of confounding variables after the study has been completed, because these variables may have operated to explain the relationship between the independent variable and dependent variable, but they were not or could not be easily assessed. Thank you for listening.